The wind cut through the frozen huts of Valley Forge in February 1778, carrying with it the smell of sickness and the silence of an army that had nearly stopped believing in itself. Inside one of those huts sat a stranger who called himself a baron, a former lieutenant general of Prussia, a man supposedly forged in the campaigns of Frederick the Great. Soldiers whispered his name with a mixture of hope and suspicion. Ends did not quite add up. His military records, if anyone had thought to check them, told a very different tale than the one he offered General Washington. And yet, within months, this mysterious foreigner would transform a starving, disorganized militia into the disciplined force that would ultimately defeat the most powerful army on earth. How could a man built on exaggeration become the architect of American military professionalism? To understand that, we have to go back to where the deception began. Friedrich Wilhelm von Steuben was born in 1730 in Magdeburg in the Kingdom of Prussia, the son of a military engineer. From an early age, he was immersed in the rigid, highly disciplined culture of Prussian soldiering, a world where warfare had become almost a science. He served during the brutal 7 Years' War, rising only to the rank of captain, a respectable but unremarkable position. Historians continue to debate the extent of his actual proximity to Frederick the Great. Some biographers argue he briefly served in a staff capacity near the king, while others caution that this claim was likely inflated later to enhance his reputation. What is well documented is that in 1763, Steuben was abruptly dismissed from Prussian service, and the years that followed were marked by financial hardship and failed attempts to secure a stable position in the courts of smaller German states. If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to subscribe, because what happens next reshaped the course of the American Revolution. By the 1770s, Steuben was unemployed, deeply in debt, and searching for a new beginning. Some historians, including biographer Paul Lockhart, have noted allegations circulating in the German Principality of Hechingen regarding his conduct with young men there, allegations serious enough that they may have influenced his decision to leave Europe altogether. The evidence remains incomplete, and Steuben himself never publicly addressed the matter, so historians rightly urge caution rather than certainty. What is certain is that he arrived in Paris in 1777, penniless but ambitious, seeking a commission in the fledgling American cause. There, he found two crucial allies, the French playwright and arms dealer Pierre Beaumarchais and the American statesman Benjamin Franklin. Together, they helped craft a letter of introduction to the Continental Congress that elevated Steuben's rank from captain to lieutenant general and quietly attached the title Baron, though genealogical evidence for that title remains disputed among historians to this day. Armed with this embellished resume, Steuben sailed to America and made his way to Valley Forge, where George Washington's army was enduring one of the darkest winters of the war. Thousands of men lacked shoes, blankets, and food. Discipline had collapsed. Desertions were rising. Washington, desperate for anyone who could impose order, welcomed the self-proclaimed Baron with cautious optimism. Because Steuben spoke little English, he relied on aides such as Captain Benjamin Walker and the young Pierre-Étienne du Ponceau to translate his commands into English and French before they reached the troops. Despite this extraordinary language barrier, Steuben personally drilled a model company of 100 men, teaching them European marching formations, bayonet discipline, and rapid maneuvering, principles he distilled into a manual that would become known as the Blue Book, officially titled Regulations for the Order and Discipline of the Troops of the United States. If this kind of hidden history fascinates you, drop a comment below about what surprised you most, and don't forget to like this video so more people can discover it. The results were undeniable. By June 1778, at the Battle of Monmouth, American soldiers stood their ground against British regulars in open field combat for the first time in the war, executing coordinated maneuvers that would have been unthinkable months earlier. Congress, impressed by this transformation, appointed Steuben as Inspector General of the Continental Army, granting him extraordinary authority over training and organization. He later played a vital logistical and command role during the Yorktown Campaign in 1781, helping coordinate the siege that ultimately forced British surrender. Yet even as his influence grew, questions about his background persisted quietly among some officers. The wartime necessity often outweighed scrutiny. It was only after the war, as biographers and historians examined Prussian military archives more closely, that the full extent of his exaggerated credentials became clear. He had never held the rank of lieutenant general. His connection to Frederick the Great was far more limited than his letters implied. Yet by then, his contributions were undeniable, and Congress rewarded him with American citizenship, land grants, and a pension. He spent his final years in New York, where he died in 1794, remembered not as a fraud, but as a foundational figure in American military history. Modern historians largely agree that Steuben's technical genius and organizational discipline were entirely genuine, even if the path he took to prove it was built on calculated deception. His story endures not because he lied, but because those lies gave birth to something profoundly real, an army capable of standing against an empire. If you found this story as remarkable as we did, subscribe for more hidden chapters of history waiting to be uncovered.